Cali grown.
My name is Matthias. I am a third-year Cannabis Studies major. I was a part of the first class that came in, what, 2.5 years ago now?
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Portland, Oregon, and I came here because I didn't know what I was going to do in college. I could have played soccer. I didn't trust my body, so I decided to go the route of academia, and I never was really good at school in high school, so when I found this major, I always have had an interest in the plant, mostly from a connoisseur's perspective, I would say, but I also just had a fascination with it that I wanted to extend into other things, but didn't really know how. So when this major came across, actually my mom's computer screen, when she told me about it, I immediately applied, and I met with our old head, Dominic Corva, who I owe every great experience, at least in Humboldt for the school at Cal Poly Humboldt. I owe him every great experience I've had so far. The program itself has brought me some pretty cool opportunities, like running podcasts and doing event planning and event production. I do a lot of audio-visual stuff for the lab here. When Dominic Corva was running the lab, he needed somebody to edit podcasts, and I just said that I could do that, not being able to do that at the time. And within like a week or two, I figured it all out, and I started just uploading stuff for the lab. And then with that, I had some photography experience and some recording, some film experience as like a cameraman, and so I became one of the people that, with help with many other students, we ran the Symposium, the first Symposium, and then I've just continued with it whenever there's an audio-visual component to anything that we do, whether that's a speaker event or the Symposium or a podcast. I'm usually there with cameras and microphones, figuring out how to do it as a broke college student with not many resources. But luckily that's changing, and because that's changing, this next Symposium is going to have a great visual components and audio components to it, because now we have money. Just lit. I think that there needs to be real outreach from the school to bring students in. Without that in itself, we're just missing a lot of student base that wouldn't hear about us. A lot of students that have already joined the major really had to like pick this out of the weeds. Like they found it and then they went with it, and there wasn't much known about it when a lot of us came here. And so to really like change that narrative of like, here's what we do, here's what we're about, here's what you're going to learn, really making that clear. Clear and focused is like, I think, definitely a big proponent, and then just continuing to make media, continuing to make content. I think that's one of the really unique things about this lab, is that we aren't just like a research lab. We also do content. We also make stuff. We also are open to creativity. We also plan events and all this stuff. And so if like you're interested in cannabis and you don't know where to go to school, I think we really need to reach those people, because there's so many people that I know personally that could have benefited from just this option. And even if they didn't come here, just knowing about the option, I think, is like a lot for us. And nobody knows about this option, and nobody knows what the lab does. And so pushing content and pushing as much marketing towards this program, I think, would be impeccably beneficial. And the more students we get, the more it'll expand, the more we can get into other facets, because it is interdisciplinary. And so I think just also having other schools and other programs promoting this program and promoting each other, I think would really benefit everybody, and doing that obviously through probably social media, because it all has to be ran through us. I don't know if I've had a favorite, but I definitely have like my top classes that I've taken. I will say that I think coming in as a freshman in the first semester, knowing nothing about this program, being able to take 120 with Dominic Corva probably was one of the bigger, and 202 actually, just both those first classes that I took, I think were really influential in not only my decision to like really become involved and stay here, but understand that this program goes beyond what is just put out and what is out there right now, and like what you would think about it. It's like a lot more, and being able to have a professor that was that passionate really, really was influential. And then like I think all of Dan Marr's classes, big shout out to Dan Marr. He really like opened my eyes to how being a professor doesn't have to be a job. It can be something that like you actually like to do, and being able to have that experience of somebody that's also that passionate, cares that much, and also just has a whole method and idea around teaching that is different than the stereotypical ways, was like absolutely amazing to get to experience going to farms. Though they weren't, during flowering seasons, being able to go to farms, being able to go to compliance farms, understanding like how much there is to legal compliance, I think is super important. And I think everybody should apply or take these classes. If you're an environmental major, I think Dan's classes are incredible. If you want to do pre-med, you should take the medical classes. If you are wanting to be in a business or law, just taking the cannabis classes that are around law and all that, like they don't just cover cannabis, they cover other things. And so to really have that interdisciplinary approach with also the student base, I think is really important. And I think as that happens, the other classes will become a lot more involvement within them. So, what the Cannabis Studies Lab is in general is that it's just like a multimedia research house at Cal Poly Humboldt. And so what we do is that it's led right now by Dan Marr. And so the research that happens here is around mostly Dan Marr's research or environmental research, but also Whitney Ogle of the kinesiology programs does a lot of cannabis research and is a part of HIMR, the Humboldt Interdisciplinary Institution for Marijuana Research, which is like a housed, I want to say, program in on campus at Cal Poly Humboldt too, of like faculty. And she's always in here. She's always working in here with her students doing research around exercise and cannabis. And then, of course, it's like a content house. And so we have this podcast booth. We have video recording stuff. We have photo recording stuff. We have all of our event planning goes on here. And so if you're just like interested in content creation or event planning or research or being a assistant or learning how to write grants, all of our funding is through grants. And so that is right now led by Dan Marr, but there are students that are also helping out, like finding grants and writing those said grants. That's how we pay our students. And so there's also job opportunities here to be a research assistant. And a big thing that I appreciate as a student here is that if you do get paid, you get paid well, you get paid by the hour, and there's plenty of opportunity for it. And so I myself can thank the lab for not having to have a job while in college, because I'm actually doing what some people would look at as like homework as my job that is also connected to my major. And I think that that's super unique with the lab, that there's actual opportunity for students to get paid to help push forward the general narrative of sustainable cannabis.
Oh, yeah.
Also, the club is housed here. What I would love to see is just engagement and like involvement and participation, in the lab and like just socially with other students. I think that first year was something that was like undeniable was the participation and the passion and the connection that was made between students was um one of the only times I've ever seen, like 15 kids get on the same wavelength about something and like really go for it. And we made so much progress that first year coming from essentially nothing. Um, and it has slowed down a bit, but I just want that to pick back up. I want students to be involved. I think being at a standard institution makes it really difficult for time management to involve things like the lab. But it is beneficial, and there are definitely connections and experience that you get here that is resume worth that people need in the industry, whether that's grant writing, whether that's media work, whether that's content creation, whether that's event planning, event production. Like, there's so many assets of just experience that you can get here. I think is like one of the biggest things that this lab created was just the community at the school of people that could safely talk about social issues like um, cannabis stuff, learning about like current contemporary cannabis law and cannabis actions that are happening, um, meeting farmers, meeting policymakers, like that's all through the lab. Um, and though some of them are not like official connections, just meeting people face to face is like the most important thing that you could do in shaking their hand. And so I would love to just see more students in here pushing it forward, making more content, bringing ideas to the table. If you are a student and you are a part of the major or you're interested in the major, like pitch the idea. There's a 98% chance that we will say yes and we can make it work. It's a lot of just DIY stuff. You just have to make it work. You have to figure it out. But now we have some money and we can really actually push ideas forward. And so I think that because the major is so broad, there's so many people with so many ideas. And just seeing those be brought to light and seeing people want those ideas to be acted on would be the most beneficial thing I could see to the program and the lab in general. And it would be awesome to be a part of it. I would love to see faculty be curious about the lab and about the program. It's a really cool space to be in. Everybody who's ever come in this space sees that it's super unique to the college environment in general and the university environment. And I know that there's a lot of professors and a lot of administrators that want to see either growth or creativity happening. And I think that the lab is the best example easily on campus of that. And so I would love to just see professors get in tune with their academic roots and just be curious and ask us questions and be curious in how, if they're interested in cannabis, how to implement it in their programs and how to implement what we're teaching in their program. I'm a part of this program because I wanted to try being academic for the first time in my life. And I love the plant and I'm fascinated by the plant and I love learning about the plant. And I'm still a part of the major because I do believe that education around the plant needs to happen. And I'm really involved with it because I'm passionate about just pushing messages from the people I meet out here that I see that are really positive and could positively impact not just cannabis in the industry, but other industries, other parts of the world, other parts of business, other parts of experimentation. I think that it's a great opportunity to not know what you're doing and do something great with it and do some fun stuff with it and be interested in it and be curious a lot about everything that you learn. And that's really why I'm still here. And the people that we do have, the faculty that we do have, though it's small, they're super passionate people that want to help us. And that I find is rare in other university systems. And so to have that somewhere where the future is very unexpected and very unknown, I find very valuable to just being a younger person, being able to experience being uncomfortable in a really major, or what is seen as a major decision, in a major point in your life. And so I think that just a lot of the knowledge that I gain here, besides what you learn in class, is absolutely valuable and integral to just growth as a human. And I'm involved with the lab because I see that there's like opportunity to really be creative, to express yourself, not just publicly, but just in a way that benefits everybody that you work with, everybody that you're around, consistently. Because like all the students in the cannabis studies major benefit from the lab, whether they know it or not. The reason why that there's money coming into this major is mostly because of the lab. The reason why students get involved with this major is because when they learn about the lab, they're like, oh, I want to be a part of this. And so whether students know it or not, I think the lab is like the anchor of this major. And one of the biggest reasons why I came here was because this was a new, unknown, up-and-coming program. I think that being able to start something and be a part of starting something is really important to how it moves forward from there. And seeing the past few years, the growth that it has been really, really cool to see. And what I will say to other students that are interested that might be like worried about it being a new major or worried about it being an unknown thing, there's so much to learn just from seeing from the bureaucratic and administrative perspective of how things get done and how things get started, and getting that back knowledge of dealing with bureaucracy and dealing with administration that might be looking down on you and some helping you, and really being able to read between those lines of like who can help you and who can't help you. I find to be just life experience. And I don't think that there's many other majors that have this much involvement from the students that start this small and that start this new. And I think that should be the number one like telltale that this program is working. And to see that growth, I just think is absolutely amazing. And to be a part of that growth is even more amazing.